Hi, this is Matt once again. Welcome back to another video. There's another paid request, this time for Corey. Thank you so much for that. And for those interested in requesting pretty much any type of videos or topics or reactions or reviews or commentaries or re-reviews or whatever it may be, feel free to send them either directly to my PayPal or join my Patreon. Both links are down below in the info box. Now, Corey asked me what were my 5 favorite non-Freddy Krueger Robert Englund performances. Because, of course, Robert Englund, most famous for playing Freddy Krueger, but he's done a lot more than just Freddy. So what are 5 or so roles that I enjoy him playing that didn't include the Freddy Krueger character? And I do have 5. My favorite non-Freddy performance by him is Bill Gartley and the Mangler. I just thought he seemed like such an insane character, but had a personality to him, had sort of a joy in being evil, and the way his body moved, because his body was kind of breaking down, and he had these crutches that keep his legs afloat, so to speak. And with the makeup he has, and with his eye, and I thought he worked well with Ted Levine, who's our hero. And there's some good lines. We all have to make sacrifices. There's a piece of me in the machine. And a little piece of it in me. Oh, hell's bells, Adele. Or someone's like, you gotta do something. Yeah, I'll do something. I'll dance the jig. Yeah, I'll dance. See? I'm doing something. He's having fun. He's just being deliciously evil. And gets a great comeuppance. Ted Levine punches him the fuck out. Boom, gets hung and pressed into a pile of gush by the Mangler. But he's just having a lot of fun. I always enjoyed the Mangler. I always thought it was a crazy idea, but I like Ted Levine. I like some of the direction by Tobe Hooper. He definitely gives a dirty, weird, aesthetic atmosphere to the Mangler. There's some batshit B-movie. The fucking thing grows legs and shoots fireballs at the end. It just goes nutso, and I love it. Ted Levine, I liked as an actor. It was great to see him as the lead, as a hero, as a good guy. He's usually portrayed as bad guys, like in Silence of the Lambs as Buffalo Bill. But yeah, as Gartley and the Mangler, non-Freddy wise, that's my favorite Robert Englund performance. Number 2 is Smiley from The Adventures of Ford Fairlane. Love The Adventures of Ford Fairlane. I think that's an underrated Andrew Dice Clay film. Came out in 1990, directed by Rennie Harlan. Which he was doing that with 20th Century Fox, and then Fox looked at the dailies and said, "Hey, you want to do Die Hard 2 as well?" Okay, so when he got done, did Die Hard 2. And Ford Fairlane did not do well, but Die Hard 2 did do well at the box office. That led to Rennie Harlan getting films like Cliffhanger. But Ford Fairlane to me is it's like a lot of people don't get that it's completely a parody of action films. It is a satire. It is a parody. That's why the characters are rock and roll detective. And it's playing off the tropes of, oh, someone close to him gets killed or gets murdered, or, like Lethal Weapon 2 with the new girlfriend of Mel Gibson, she gets murdered. Here, the person close to him, because it's a comedy and it's goofy, is the fucking koala bear that is his fucking prize for one of his rock and roll investigations. And even at the end, to me, it was a take on, well, you can't kill animals. So literally, they're relaxing, and it cuts to the koala bear, and Andrew Dice Clay goes, "You didn't think we killed the fucking koala bear, did you? Oh." But one of the tropes is the villain that won't die, and that's for Robert Englund's character, Smiley. He's this henchman that Ford Fairlane keeps trying to kill over and over, but he just won't die. Like, he puts a fucking TV on the guy's head, or has him drop off a building and smash through a piano, but he just won't die. And Robert Englund, he's smiling, he's laughing, and there's the chase scene through the cemetery where Robert Englund's in one vehicle and Andrew Dice Clay's in another. I look forward to ripen us. Like the type of accent Robert Englund is portraying, and he's just having a ball and a half in that. He really is. Well, come on, let's go mano a mano. Any way you want it. Thanks for working, and thanks for being a jerk off. What the hell does it mean, mano a mano? Use your head. Snap a head. I love the Adventures of Ford Fairlane. It's, Robert Englund, was great to see him in there, and it's like, oh wow, he could do something other than being Freddy Krueger. And it was cool. He had worked with Rennie Harlan because Rennie Harlan had done Nightmare on Elm Street for the Dream Master. So obviously, again, Rennie Harlan and him had worked together before, so that's probably why Rennie said, hey, let me bring Robert Englund in to do this. And I thought that was a fun role. Number 3, I would put as the Doc in Behind the Mask, The Rise of Leslie Vernon. Because it's the closest you would ever get to what Robert Englund... If Robert Englund was Dr. Loomis in Halloween, that's who he is in Behind the Mask. And that's why it's sad that we never got a sequel where it would have been nice to see like maybe his point of view, Robert Englund, but then you just still deal with this satire meta like Behind the Mask did. So either like a group of people that Robert Englund has to deal with and they follow along no matter what, and because Robert Englund's taking this seriously as a character, he's the one who survives and takes care of the bag. I don't know, just even in Behind the Mask, like the for those who don't know, Behind the Mask, The Rise of Leslie Vernon is about a documentary crew following a guy who is setting up to be the next big killer, and it takes place in the same universe that Freddy Krueger, which is ironic because Robert Englund's in it, and Jason Voorhees, they exist. Which then people go, well, how the hell is that the case if Robert Englund's in this? Again, it's just that rubber band reality. You either go with it or you don't. So it's about a guy that wants to be one of those guys. And this crew's following him. And of course, some of them, they find some morality and try to stop the guy at the end. But it's a fun meta comedy of, this nice, seemingly nice guy who's going through all the tropes of, picking out the victims and working on his cardio. Because, as he says, you have to act like you're just walking while everyone else is running their asses off. You really gotta work on your cardio. And this was this was 2006, or it was somewhere around there, very early on. I thought it was rather clever. And I wish he was in it more, Robert Englund, but the part that he plays, I think I think the guy, the bad guy even says, I need someone to come out, I need protagonist, I need someone, I don't think he says Loomis, but I need that type of person. And Robert Englund's character fits that bill. And like I say, it was just nice. It felt like he was playing Dr. Loomis. And I thought, well, he can work well in that format. I wish there was an opportunity that he did play a Loomis type of character. And this, like Donald Pleasance did in Halloween, and even Halloween 4 and movies like that. I think Robert Englund could have handled it well, and this showcases it. Number 4, I put the Professor. It was either kind of a tie between the Professor and Urban Legend, and the guy in Wishmaster, because they're both. I put the Professor in Urban Legend mainly because I wouldn't say he's a red herring, but that's there's not much to the character, to be fair, but it is one of those things that even with and I know this is not going to make sense, it shows that even with a little to nothing role, Robert Englund can bring something to it. Meaning, his sense of taking the role seriously, bringing a bit of legitimacy to what he's doing, working very well with other actors. Again, whether it be in that or Wishmaster, he can take a small part, but you're still listening to what he's saying. And he's always a great asset. He'd always be a great asset to you in any type of film. And even, again, a character that doesn't have a whole lot to do, he's still, again, a great asset, a good actor, and you even teach in a class where someone tries to fake being killed by mixing pop rocks and soda, but because the class is about urban legends, but it's a prank the guy does, and Professor's a little bit mad about it, but he plays it cooler than how others would. And they try to do a little bit of red herring, but I don't know if anyone ever believed he would be the killer by the end. But now stuff like that, again, showcases that even in a smaller role, he can be very. And honestly, that could be also the character in Wishmaster. Like, I could put that in the same ballpark. And like Robert Englund is just a guy that he got very popular with Freddy Krueger. Of course, he was on the TV show V, among others. And my 5th was Ranger from Galaxy of Terror, because that was one of the earlier roles for him where he got to be a decent sized supporting character. He was a good guy. He lived. In fact, he was one of the only people to live. Although I wouldn't say he disappears, but you do kind of wish there's at least 1 or 2 more final scenes with the character to see, like, if you know how the film ends, it ends on, to me, kind of a weird note. But it doesn't really showcase, well, what happened with Robert Englund's character. Did he go back home? Like, it doesn't really showcase that, but he did live. He was the only one that overcame his fear. I'll try to get into it without explaining the whole plot of Galaxy of Terror. Galaxy of Terror is a pretty decent sci-fi flick. Ambitious for its time and its budget. People like James Cameron worked on it with some of the effects, and again with the effects and the work of Corman low budget style, but very ambitious, and I think looked pretty cool. That also had Sid Haig, another, may he rest in peace, another good character actor. He was in that. But at least it was cool to have Robert Englund be, again, a good guy that also lives. Because you look at a lot of films, he's either a villain, and I'm talking about movies. TV, he did stuff like V, but I'm talking about movies. He's either a bad guy who dies, or he's a good guy, or a decent guy like the Professor in Urban Legend, or Wishman, who would also die. He didn't die behind the mask. Close, but he didn't, which was nice. But yeah, it's one of those few films that he's a good guy and he lives, which is, I had to put that in 5. Just, that's nice, because I like Robert Englund. It's nice to see him even early on, get that bit of opportunity. I mean, there's other choices. There's Buck and Eaten Alive, just for the simple fact of him saying the line, "My name's Buck, and I like to fuck." Which, of course, Tarantino used that for Kill Bill. That's why the shitty orderly in Kill Bill says that. "My name's Buck, I like to fuck." Because of Robert Englund Eaten Alive. It was a reference to that. Then you don't believe me, watch Kill Bill again. The guy says, "My name's Buck, and I like to fuck." And Tarantino has seen films like Eaten Alive. So I think he even admitted sometime that somewhere that was a direct reference to it. And there's other stuff he's done. I mean, there's 2001 Maniacs, where he was one of the main villains there. He did a good job in that. He was a lot of fun. Trying to think. Phantom of the Opera, I was never really a fan of his Phantom of the Opera. Never been a big fan of it. Yeah, didn't do much for me. That was a time where he was getting really overworked because 89, that was around the time before that directed 976 Evil. In 89, you're in Elm Street 5, you're in Phantom of the Opera. You also have a Freddy's TV show that's in the works. Just a shit ton of stuff going on at that time. But anyway, my top 5 favorite non-Freddy Robert Englund roles would be Gartley and the Mangler, Smiling Ford Fairlane, The Doc and Beyond the Mask, Rise of Lizzie Vernon, and then either like the Professor or even the other guy in Wishmaster. I'm sorry, I can't remember the character's name. And Urban Legend, Wishmaster, those type of roles. Or Ranger in Galaxy of Terror. So, but definitely an actor that I think deserved a lot more than he got in terms of mainstream roles. But hey, Freddy Krueger kept him busy and kept him at work for a decade. Because 84 was Nightmare on Elm Street. 94 was Wes Craven's New Nightmare. Around 94, give or take. Yeah, I think it was around 94. So, you know. I have to think he got a little piece of that merchandise. I would have to think at least a little bit. If not, he needed a better lawyer. But with that said, great actor, Robert Englund. So we will see you guys later. Thanks once again, Corey. Take care. Bye-bye.